Welcome to episode 13 of On the Mark with Arpit. My name is Arpit Sharma. Along with me, as always, is Mr. Mark Seagraves. And I'm more pumped than usual about talking about football today because the provisional England squad has been announced for the Euros. And that's what we're going to talk about on our episode today. As I understand it, Mark, before I dive into anything, it's not made you the happiest. Don't get specific about players, but it's not made you the happiest person in the world.
Well, you just mentioned a word there, provisional. Why does it have to be provisional? You know, he's had however many years from the last tournament to sort out his team. He's had games in between. Why all of a sudden now are we having a provisional squad? You look at other teams in the Euros, they've got their 26-man squad or the 25-man squad, and that's it already. Why are we still, 3 weeks before the tournament, still looking at a provisional squad? And obviously I'm not going to mention the names just yet, but when you look at the squad as a whole, I'm thinking, hang on, we're supposed to be ranked one in European football, England, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, wow, we've got some good players in there, but we've also got some ones that should not be in there also. Okay,
fantastic. Should I just quickly rattle off the squad and then get into the details, or how do you want to go about it?
No, you rattle the squad off, and then we can actually go from the keepers through the defenders, through the midfielders, through to the forwards.
Okay, so I'm just quickly going to say it in case people don't know it. Goalkeepers-wise, Dean Henderson, Jordan Pickford, Aaron Ramsdale, James Trafford. Defenders, Jared Branthwaite, Lewis Dunk, Joe Gomez, Mark Guehi, Ezri Konsa, Harry Maguire, Jarrell Quansah, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker. Midfielders, the first midfielder's name is Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conor Gallagher, Curtis Jones, Kobbie Mainoo, Declan Rice, Adam Wharton, a few of the names people might not really know. And forwards, I mean, this is where everyone will agree England is strongest. Jude Bellingham, Jared Bowen, Eberiche Eze, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Anthony Gordon, Harry Kane, James Maddison, Cole Palmer, Bukayo Saka, Ivan Toney, and Ollie Watkins. So we've gotten all the names out. And you start from the goalkeepers, like you said. Obviously, Pickford is going to be number one, isn't he, Mark? But Dean Henderson, Ramsdale, and Trafford?
Listen, the three keepers are all decent keepers. You know, they're not world-class keepers, but they're good keepers. And you know, all relatively have had decent seasons. The only one I would say would be Trafford. I mean, he's a young boy, but, you know, I think as a squad, you'd only need three keepers, and I think he will be the one that will unfortunately drop out. You know, he's played for Burnley all season. They've got relegated. So I'm not quite sure why and how he's actually in this provisional squad. But having said all of that, it'll be good. It'll be good for him, for the CV as well. But I think it'll be very much Pickford, Ramsdale, and Henderson in that order.
Okay. Now, 33 players mentioned. I think the count was 33. They're going to go down to 26, which is going to be the final. So 7 players are obviously going to miss out. You're saying Trafford is the first one out?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
So I've written down Trafford's name as the first name out of the provisional squad. If anyone related to him is watching this, they're haters already. Let's go to defenders. Let's talk about the definites for me. Kyle Walker, no one's arguing in the right back position. Possibly no one better. Kieran Trippier, I believe, might be number 2 right back or could play at left back if they have problems. Harry Maguire. Okay, you know what? I'm going to... John Stones. Yeah, okay, cool. Mark, I'm going to let you take over with the rest of the defenders. And I want you to start with who you're okay with, and then who you understand, and then go to why is he there, okay?
Okay, so we'll start with Branthwaite. I think he's had a good season at Everton. You know, his reputation's very, very good at the moment, and lots of the big boys are circling around Everton to have him. So I think he deserves to be in.
Before you continue, I'll just drop in a point that I did a little research about. Everton, for all the crap that they've suffered this season, there are only 3 teams that have conceded lesser goals than Everton in the Premier League. And those 3 teams are City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So Everton definitely have been doing something correctly defensively. And I think Branthwaite has been good. And in terms of Premier League's top 10 interceptions, he ranks in there. So that vindicates what you've just said.
Well, you have done your homework there. Yeah, that's very
right.
good. And then we'll go to Dunk. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, Dunk's been around for a long time, and you know he's only really sort of got the recognition playing for Brighton. He's very good on the ball. He's very comfortable. He can play in a 3. He can play in a 4. So I think, you know, he's not the star name, if you like, but I think if you look at his performances in the Premier League for the last 2 or 3 seasons, I think, you know, he's going to be one of our better centre halves. And as I say, he's quite versatile. He can play, and he's comfortable. If they play with a 3, he's comfortable getting the ball and playing it in through the thirds and whatnot. But I would keep Dunk, and I'd have him. And then we go on to one of Liverpool's players, Joe Gomez. Now, for the life of me, I don't know how he's in England's squad right now, because he can't even get a game for Liverpool on a regular basis. And when he has done, I think he's got potential, but I don't see him being a player that's going to play in the Euros against the top players across European football.
And what position? Because I know they switch around defenders and positions. Even if he plays, what position is he?
Well, I mean, for me, he's a centre half, but he can play right back, and he had his best time at Liverpool at left back, believe it or not. I mean, the issue with him is he doesn't score goals. He hasn't scored one at all, which is not a big issue for a defender as such. But he just seems to, for me, goes under the radar a little bit. And as I say, when you're not regularly playing for your club domestically, then, you know, and I know Liverpool have got good players in there, but I wouldn't have Gomez in the squad.
Okay, go on. Is he one of the players already that you want to mark out that missed
out?
Yes,
he's the one that will miss out.
Okay, go on.
So we've got what? We've got 2, 4, 6, 8 to 11 defenders. Now, I don't know how many defenders he wants. Normally you'll have 3 centre-halves, a couple of full-backs, left and right. So there's 7, maybe 8 players. So, yeah, I mean, is it Gouy who plays for Crystal Palace?
Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a decent,
brilliant season. And since Glasner took over, they've been unbeatable, really. And I think he's one that could, again, what you've got to do in these competitions, Arpit, you've got to be able to adapt and not just play. If you're going to play a 4-4-2, you only have players that can play a 4-4-2. We've seen with Southgate that he likes to switch sometimes to a 3 or a 5 at the back, or a 4 at times, and he's not adverse to putting the likes of Trippier left back. And I'm looking as we'll go on, and as I say, I haven't seen that much of him for Crystal Palace, because we don't see Crystal Palace that much on.
A lot, I know, but considering there's a lot of players from Crystal Palace, especially like you mentioned, since Glasner came on, you know, they pretty much looked unbeatable, and some of the players who have been responsible for that are the ones that have been included in the England squad. So
I'd have him, and I think he's young enough. He's only 23. So again, with these competitions as well, you've got to be looking towards the next competition, if you like, and getting these guys some experience. If you believe in him, you've got to give him the experience to be in the Euros in order to go to the World Cups and stuff. So I think with him, that'll be a good one. Then we go on to Aston Villa defender Konza. Now, again, he's another one that I haven't seen an awful lot of. He's come through the ranks. I think it was Charlton to Brentford, and from Brentford to Aston Villa. And if you look at what Aston Villa have done this year, and again, defensively, they've been quite sound as well. He could be one, but he lacks experience at the international level. So he'd be a question mark for me in terms of that, because I'm looking at the defenders, and I'm looking only at 2 players to be taken out of the defenders 11, if you like. So maybe it'll be 3, and maybe he could be the 3rd one. But and then we go on to one of your favourite players who plays for your club, Mr. Maguire. I think he's a nailed-on certainty. Of course, you know, he's had a lot of issues. He's a lot of detractors. But you know what? He seems to be a stand-up guy, doesn't he? He seems to take it.
He does. There's no argument about how he handled not playing for a very long time. No comments, no social media, nothing. Just worked on himself. And surprised a lot of United fans, I would imagine, because at times he was United's best player on the pitch after he came back. So, though, again, has not really been featuring for Manchester United. I mean, we've had
No,
Evans and
but he has the experience of playing in the World Cups and
yeah,
Euros and whatnot. So I
yeah,
think
fair
with
enough.
that, and he's a leader. I mean, I like players like this who've come through that adversity, and he's at one of the biggest club in the world, or one of the biggest clubs in the world, with all of that's going on against him, and
Okay.
he's managed to get through it and become, the player that he is. So he's a definite for me, Harry Maguire.
And then we move on to a player that plays for your team that surprisingly, again, you weren't very thrilled that he's made it in there, Jarrell Kwanzaa.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's got huge, huge, huge potential, right?
Yeah.
But it's only potential at the moment. I see him when I played, and he played in my exact position. And I'm not saying that I was better than him or he's less than me or whatever. I played in that position, and he gets found out too many times just now. He'll work it out. He'll be a quality player, and he'll end up being like a Van Dijk because he's got the same sort of stature. And
Oh,
these
wow.
players have to be allowed to
Yeah.
make them mistakes, but not in the Euros.
Mm.
And again, he's another one that is he for the next tournament. And I don't know whether Southgate, again, who played as a centre half, will take him. I just think it's good that he's given him that recognition. But having said all of that, if you look at the next player that we're going to go to, we won't go there yet, but if he's not available, then maybe one of these ones that I was going to take out will be in the squad. So for me, Gomez and Kwanzaa out of the defenders, I would leave out. But now we go on to Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
Who again, we don't know whether he's going to be fit enough.
Hasn't played for United since February, but the little research again that I did, Mark, apparently, which just saying the sentence, he's the only natural left back that England have. It just sounds so crazy, doesn't it?
And yeah, I mean, and that's another worry for me, because when was it in the Euros or the World Cup when we seen he played Trippier at left back, and we were
I think it was World Cup.
Yeah, we were all over the place because there was no balance. Every time Trippier got it, he ended up coming in on himself, so it wasn't great. And we've got players out. I mean, obviously you look at Chilwell, who's had a bad season through injury, and there isn't that much after that, is there? But I think when you're going into these competitions, you need to have players that have played in that position, and are naturally left-footed, as opposed to being a right-footed player left back. So I think if he's not available, then I think England are going to play as a back three. And that's why he's overloaded himself with these centre halves. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 centre halves in there, So that leads me to think that he's got that in his mind if Luke Shaw's not available.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of the younger players, I'd imagine, are beginning to become more versatile. Because Kwanzaa, not Kwanzaa, has played right back as well and centre back. Joe Gomez, for whatever reasons, at his time also played right back. So I'm assuming with those centre backs as well, he'd try to put them in a position if he doesn't have the option. And they definitely don't have the option right now in that left back position. So Luke Shaw might feature later on if England makes it towards the later stages, but I doubt he's going to be doing too much in the first couple of group games or something like that. Okay, go on.
Okay, so and then there's only 3 left, and they're absolute nailed on certainties. John Stones, Kieran Trippier, and Kyle Walker, who you said is a very good player. He's probably the best right back in world football right now. So they all take care of themselves. Whether Trippier starts, whether they play, this is the thing, you see, and then we can go into the midfields a little bit after this. But if he's going to play a back three, then Trippier will be able to play up one. You've got Alexander-Arnold there, and on the left hand side you've got Wharton from Blackburn, who's plays for Crystal Palace, who's a left winger. So I'm looking at this squad now and I'm thinking that's how England are going to play, with a back three, packing the midfield, because the midfield, from what I can see, is quite weak. I mean, there's only probably one or two players in there that you would look at and think, wow, they're going to be on the team sheet. So,
okay, before you go to the midfields,
yeah.
One of the questions I want to ask you, because we've spoken about this guy a few times. I know you're not the biggest fan. I'm talking about Eric Dyer, played for Bayern Munich, doesn't make it to the squad. In spite of putting in, I know when he started, he was still a little shaky, but towards the end of the season, especially in the Champions League, did pretty decent. Are you surprised his name is not in there?
No, I think with Dyer, he's betwixt and between everything now, isn't he? You know, he's not getting a game at Spurs. Are Bayern Munich going to sign him? Probably not. He goes back to Spurs, and yeah, he did okay, but he just did okay. What you've got to realise is the Champions League is absolutely fantastic, the level. But when you're looking at the Euros, that's up another notch as well. You know, you're playing against the best of the best, and I just think with Trippier, I think he's quite rash. Not Trippier, sorry, Dyer. I think he's quite rash in his defending, and if he's playing against cute, you know, experienced players like your Italy players and your French players, they would get the better of him. But having said all of that, you know, is Dyer any better than Dunk or Gui or Konza? You know, they're probably much of a muchness. So, yeah, he could think as though he's been a little bit unfortunate, but not for me.
Okay, fair enough. And now we come into the midfielders. Trent Alexander-Arnold just being in there, Mark, what's your reaction to that?
Well, the fact that he's being put into the midfield area tells me I'm not convinced, you know. Again, you can't put square pegs in round holes. You know, he's a right back. He plays right back for Liverpool. He plays all over the place for Liverpool. I don't think he'll get that luxury playing in the international team. And, you know, I'm surprised Southgate has got him in the squad, to be honest with you, because I don't think he's the greatest lover of him. Listen, with Trent Arnold, what he's got quality in spades in terms of when he's on the ball.
Yeah.
But when he's not on the ball, he becomes a huge liability.
Okay.
Now, even when he's playing in midfield, he's playing as that holding midfielder, because he's not going to play number 10. He's going to be like a holding midfielder, getting the ball and pinging it all over the place. Yeah, but when they lose possession, and we've seen it with Liverpool, he doesn't want to defend. It's not that he can't defend. He chooses at times to not defend. Now, I blame Klopp for that, because he must be saying to him, you don't worry about it, son. All I want you to do is, as soon as we get possession, you get on the ball and you create. Yeah. Now, that's okay in an ideal situation. But again, I'll reiterate, it's the top quality tournament. And I haven't got him out of my squad. I've got him in the squad. The only reason I will say that is because he can play wide right in terms of a back three or a midfield five, or even as a 3-4-1-2, whatever it is. He can play in that. He's got good quality, as has Trippier from set plays. So in that respect, I would have him. So he's in my squad, absolutely.
Okay. I think Conor Gallagher and Curtis Jones don't get as many votes from you, Mark.
Well, they're the two I wouldn't have. I mean, Curtis Jones, I don't get. I see him playing for Liverpool. His endeavour is unbelievable. He started
only one game in the last month, by the way. Harvey Elliott seemed to have been putting in more performances than Curtis Jones, but Harvey Elliott hasn't been picked and Curtis Jones has.
When I'm going, I was just explaining to you about Curtis Jones. His endeavour and his will to get the ball back is fantastic. And you know why that is? Because he gives it away every time he has it. So he's got to do it. And if you look at Curtis Jones, he's played 36 games this year for Liverpool. He scored 5 goals, but only created 3. And then go to the analogy about Harvey Elliott. He scored 4, but created 11. So why isn't he one of these players that is in this provisional squad rather than Jones? I just think with Curtis Jones, I just don't see I don't think he's good enough for Liverpool. So I'm not convinced that he's good enough for England either. So he was one of the players that I wouldn't have. And the other one you've alluded to is Conor Gallagher. I mean, we had a laugh. He's like a Duracell bunny, isn't he? You know, it's like someone winds him up at the start of the game, and then he's like a rocket. He goes all over the pitch, a little bit like Curtis Jones. Loses the ball, goes and chases it down, and looks as though he's running 13 kilometers a game or whatever it is. And you know, a lot of the time it's because he's either in the wrong position.
Okay. Or he's in the ball away.
Yeah, and again with him, he's played 50 games this season. 50, that's a lot of games. He's scored 5 goals and assisted in 7. So that's not too bad. I probably, you know, if one of the it was either him or it was Wharton. And I have, again, the only reason I would say Wharton is that I haven't seen an awful lot of him, but I have heard a lot of good reviews about him since they signed him from Blackburn, and he's a left winger, and so that's what it says. He's a left winger in the transfer market thing. So yeah, it was either him, but I just think with Gallagher at this top level, I think that's just one level too far for him.
Okay, fair enough. So that's, I think, Declan Rice. I don't think anyone in the world has a problem with his selection. We've already touched on Adam Wharton. As a United fan, I don't have a problem with Kobbie Mainoo in there because I feel he's been at least one of the brightest sparks for Manchester United and has a maturity on the pitch way beyond his years. Like, he's so calm on the ball, even when 4 people are around him. He doesn't seem hurried or panic, you know, ever so often. So I'm okay with Kobbie Mainoo.
I'm absolutely okay. I'm absolutely okay with him because, again, I've said to you privately that I would take him out the team and give him a little bit of a break, but Manchester United can't, and that's testament to the way that he plays. And as you said, he has got that little bit of a strut about him. You know, he's still only 19, I think it is, and he's got lots and lots of qualities, and he'll be one of these players. I mean, he could get Young Player of the Year award this year because of his performances for Manchester United. Bearing in mind, again, Man United, huge club, 70-odd thousand every week. It's like he was born to do, like a Bellingham when he goes to the Bernabeu. You know, it's like he's born to do this, and he gets in. Even at 19 years of age, he's one for now, but also he's going to get better in the future.
Definitely is. Just on that note, you know, they were talking about how many inexperienced players are there. There are 5 uncapped players in Jared Branthwaite, Curtis Jones, who you said might just not make it, Jarrell Quansah, who you again said might not make it, Adam Wharton, and James Trafford, who again, so you know, you've already mentioned 4 of those players, 3 of those players at least, who won't be there out of the 5 uncapped players for England so far. So a lot of youngsters in there, and from there we move to the forwards. Jude Bellingham, no questions, I would imagine. Who else? Cole Palmer I'll come to a little later on.
I'll take it out your hands. Jared Bowen has been absolutely fantastic this season. Again, another name that, you know, goes under the radar, but playing on the right-hand side the way he does for West Ham, and the goals he scores and the goals he creates, you know, he should have been. I can't believe that. I don't know how many games he's played for England, but it should have been a lot more because he's been doing this. It hasn't just been this season. He's been doing this on a regular basis. And, you know, whilst we've got all of the bigger names in there, I think he's an absolute definite for me because he can create. He's one of these players that everyone loves to see. He gets on the ball, and what he does do, he makes defenders uneasy because he goes at them with pace, and he can go either right side or he can cut inside, as we see, and does that Iron Robin, the curler right into the top corner. So for me, he's an absolute certainty. Now, the forwards, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 forwards.
I mean, that's also because he's put the likes of Maddison, Anthony Gordon. I mean, these guys, I don't know, can play midfield as well, play forward as well. So I'm a little confused about that selection. But which name? I was looking for Foden's name, and that was the name I couldn't find for a while. And I said, how is Foden's name not in there? He's in there. So Bellingham, Foden, I imagine, would be players that no one would have a problem with. Jared Bowen, you've already spoken about. Tell me about the ones that you do have a problem with the names being in there?
There's only two.
Okay.
And both will be unlucky, only because other players this season have been brilliant.
Okay.
I wouldn't take Jack Grealish.
Oh.
No, and the reason being, I think England are going to play a back three.
Okay.
And okay, he's played for Man City on the left hand side, and
Yeah, but he started only 10 games this season in the
yes,
Premier League winning season, so he's not
so
featured as much as you'd think.
yeah, of course. So I mean, take that. It's not the issue. I mean, he's a very experienced player. He's played a load of games, but I just think there are other players there that are more exciting for me, like Anthony Gordon. You know, I'd rather have him on the left-hand side in there, being able to use his pace, and he can go outside and come inside and create. It was either Grealish for me or Maddison. Now I know Maddison has had a lot of injuries, but he's so creative. He's one of
In
these.
what sense? Are you saying Maddison out or in?
In, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it was for me. The two players. One is Grealish. I'm not going to tell you the other one just now. It was between Grealish and Maddison.
Yeah.
Now, again, Grealish has had his problems in terms of not playing regularly. Maddison's had his problems with injury and not playing regularly, if you like, because of that. But I just think when I look at him and I see him, he's always looking for that ball that can kill defenders. Whereas Grealish always does the same thing. Goes down the left, turns inside, and then plays it off. Now, and also from set plays, Maddison is absolutely outstanding as well. So that was the reasoning behind that. I just think Grealish, I don't know that he needs a change of scenery or whatnot, but he seems to be going down the pecking order, as is the want of Pep Guardiola, isn't it? You know, he gets these players, he makes them better, and then he goes out and gets better players, and soon enough.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't get about Jack Grealish, because when Jack Grealish came, of course, from Aston Villa, he was so exciting. He was, if I may say, he was Jeremy Doku himself. Like, he would just take on players unabashed in everything that he tried. He would try ridiculous turns and twists. And then I felt, this is what everyone felt, that Pep wanted Grealish to be more in control of the ball rather than give it away, rather than try anything. And he made Grealish that player. And now that Grealish is that player, people are saying, oh, Pep doesn't want him. They're talking about Manchester City offloading Grealish in the summer. And I found that a bit of a surprise, because they changed the way he played. And now they're saying, we don't want the way you play right now.
But you can't knock Pep, can you, for that? Because he's done it on so many occasions. You look at Riyad Mahrez going as well, and even Cole Palmer. If these players don't want to do what he does, I was listening to Thierry Henry on one of the shows, and he was saying how ruthless he was, even at Barcelona when Thierry Henry was there. He said to Thierry Henry, "You play the way I want, otherwise you're out." And he did it to so many players, big name players, not the. And he was saying, Thierry Henry was saying, "Well, I was thinking I want to play here, so I'm going to have to screw the nut here and do exactly what he wants, because sometimes I want to come inside, but he wants me to go outside." So if he kept coming inside, Pep would have said, out the team and on you go. So I think that's the case with Grealish. He can be unlucky because obviously he's been winning things and he's been in the top teams and stuff like that. But for me, for this tournament, I think we've got more exciting, young, and players that other teams don't necessarily know that much about. Because with Grealish, you know exactly how he's going to play, so you can defend accordingly. But with the likes of Gordon, he's all action. He's in the box. He pops up everywhere, and he's got good quality. He gets a goal, and obviously Maddison with his passing range and his ability from set plays and whatnot. I'm not saying he's going to start, Arpit, but I think if he's fit and he's ready to go, he'd be the one that I would take as well.
Okay. Go on. You already mentioned Anthony Gordon as being very exciting for you. You mentioned James Maddison as the creative player for you. Cole Palmer, who's had a phenomenal season with Chelsea. And I think we all agreed while we were talking once that he deserves his chance. So I'm not sure if that's the player you don't want. Bukayo Saka, incredible season with Arsenal. Ollie Watkins, great season, possibly the number 2 after Harry Kane in that striker's position. So which is the name? Is Ivan Toney the name that you're going to say?
It is. It is, unfortunately. And you know something? I'm a great lover of him because he's come from the lower league and he's come through. He's scored goals. He's unfashionable, isn't he? He's a big, strong.
He's also spent 8 months not playing football.
And that's the reason why, you know, he has spent 8 months because of the betting scandal he had. But he's only had 4 goals this season and 2 assists. So if you're looking at, it was either him or Ollie Watkins. And I think Ollie Watkins this season has proven, I mean, he's been a handful for all of these big names defenders, whether it's Arsenal, whether it's Liverpool, whether it's whoever. He scored, 27 goals, and he's been involved in 13 other goals as well, assisting. So I think he deserves it. Tony will be unfortunate because, as I say, the likes of Saka and Palmer have scored. Well, Palmer is leading goal scorer, I think, in the Premier League. Saka has scored his goals, and I just think
it's Haaland. Haaland is leading goal scorer in the Premier League. It's for Chelsea. Cole Palmer is.
But he's. Okay, all right. I thought he was leading the goal scoring charts in the Premier League.
Haaland,
20 odd goals. Was it? Okay.
In fact, I think Foden has the second highest number of goals or something like that. But yeah, we could check that. I don't want to sound very cocky with you.
But again, he's done absolutely brilliant, and he's dragged Chelsea through to the Europa Leagues or whatever it is they're in now. And his reputation is sky high. So if you're looking at Bellingham, Bowen, and we haven't mentioned Eze from Crystal Palace as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a good season, great season in terms of goal scoring and being effective. So you've got 10, as I said, it was a 10, 4, 8, 12. And I'm only going to throw out 2, which would be Tony and Grealish. The rest can all be in there because you get an extra man now, don't we? It's 26 instead of
26.
25 that it used to be. So I've left out Trafford is 1, Gomez 2, Cancer 3, Gallagher and Jones 5, Grealish and Tony
7,
and there's 26 left. So between all of them, I think we've got a really good squad. Again, I don't know how he's going to play, but by the looks of, if you're not having an actual left back in your team, then and so many centre halves, I think he's going to go with that. You know, the 3 at the back.
You've been so calm, Mark. I thought this wouldn't be a successful episode unless you said the F word. And
because
before the show started, you were raving. Somehow you come into your default broadcast element and you're controlled.
I had to. While you were swelling off to the gymnasium, I actually sat down and looked at it, trying to be rational, which I'm not always rational. But and I just look at it. I think, for me, I mean, it's just my opinion. I mean, and my opinion for me in my own personal world matters. Not everyone thinks the same.
It matters in our world as well, Mark. You have one of the most. You do have one of the most balanced opinions. I do feel that. I love doing this podcast with you. Apart from the chemistry that we have, for that reason, that I value your opinion, and I know a lot of people who listen to you value your opinion as well. So we've gone through this list of 33 players that England have. We've spoken about, I think, pretty much all of them. Managed to do it in literally 1 minute per player for now because we're around 33 minutes. The question now I ask you, Mark, because you've said it a few times that you're not sure what system he's going to play. Knowing the 26 that you want out of the 33, the 26 that you have, what would be the system you would play?
Well, from what they have, we're taking Luke Shaw out of this, aren't we, as well? So
okay.
Maybe one of the others that I haven't, maybe Gallagher will stay in the team. But if Shaw's not there, then they have to go back 3, don't they? Unless you can't have Trippier playing left back. So they've got enough players there. They've got Stones, they've got Walker, Maguire. They can all play as a 3. Dunk is very comfortable as a 3. I'm sure.
No, pick your 3. Pick your 3. Okay, well, wait. Keeper. Who's your keeper?
Oh, it's got to be Pickford. It'll be Pickford, Walker, Maguire, and either Stones or Dunk.
Okay, so I'm going to give you that option. I'm going to be generous and say you said Stones or Dunk. So I'm going to put Stones / Dunk. Okay, go ahead. Now, what system are you playing? 3-4-3, 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2,
3-4-2-1.
3-4-2-1. Okay, so you got three. Who are your four in that midfield?
I'd have on the right-hand side Alexander Arnold.
Wow. Look at who just picked Alexander Arnold. Okay,
Middle, I'd have Rice and Mainu.
brilliant. That's a good. Okay, doesn't matter which side. I'm just going to put them down right now. Declan Rice and Kobe Manu. Go on.
And maybe Bowen or Palmer.
Okay, I'm not questioning it. It can't be Bowen. I can't put that slash between Bowen and Palmer.
Okay, at Bowen.
Wow. Okay, so we got Bowen in there. That's 3-4. So 2-1. Who are you two? I mean, Bellingham, obviously.
Bellingham and Foden.
Yeah, Bellingham and Foden. Incredible. By the way, on the Premier League list, Haaland
Are you going to ask me who's going to be the top? Are you going to ask me who's going to be centre forward?
Hold on. On the list of scorers in the Premier League, it was Haaland on top and Cole Palmer was second, 5 goals behind. Okay. I do feel it could have been goal contributions. Maybe Cole Palmer has a lot more assists than Haaland does, so that's why you may have thought he ranked on
Haaland
top.
scored a hat-trick, I think, in one of the games after the... I read this about a couple of weeks back, and both of them were on the same, and then Haaland must have had a hat-trick and stuff. So, yeah.
Here's my question to you before I take the one up front, and this is based off an article that you sent me. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to read it out verbatim. It said, I think the person who's written it is Ben Teacher, and it says, Harry Kane has played in a Euros final, a semi-final, 2 Champions League semi-final matches, and a Champions League final, as well as a World Cup semi-final. In those 6 matches, 3 of which lasted for 2 hours, the only goal he scored from open play was a rebound from his own missed penalty against Denmark. That's 10 hours of football with 0 goals from actual open play. And this person has said he doesn't have the intelligence, movement, or speed that you need to score goals at the highest level. And he says the problem for England is that he's going to start every game. This is the article that you sent to me. It's very interesting because quite often you have pointed out that,
all of them things.
Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to ask you who starts as your striker in the 3-4-2-1.
It's got to be Harry Kane, hasn't it? But when you've got the quality that in behind, the likes of Bellingham and Foden, they can all intertwine and intermingle. And obviously Bellingham, loves to get forward, as does Foden. And if you've got Jared Bowen on the wing, then I think we look at an exciting team. Defensively, they looks quite solid. You've got quality in Arnold on the ball. You've got quality on the other side. You've got the holding midfielder of Rice in there with Mainu, who can link the play into the strikers. So, it could be a 3-4-3. It could be a 3-4-2-1. But for me, that is the key. But that article was really interesting for me.
Yeah.
And you weren't disparaging with the first piece of the article, because he did say that, we're being captained by a pub team player, and he's not a pub team player. He's a fantastic centre forward. But my always in my issue, and it's not been with him, it's been with everybody else who says he's world class. So when you get stats like that, then, and having said all of that, he was leading goal scorer in the World Cup, wasn't he? Was it 2018? Was it? No.
I'm not sure. That's not.
Yeah, but he
I covered it in 2018.
So he's no one's knocking his record for scoring goals, but I just don't think, in terms of the players that I've seen over the years, he wouldn't get in my top 10, top 20 of players as being the best striker.
Of all time. Let's clear that up.
Of all time. Because. I could hit you with 3 or 4 right now, and you'll go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, all right. And,
or I'd have to go into the relics and see, oh, this name does exist. No,
I finished playing 20 years ago. So it's not that far back.
we could actually do this show. We could have an episode which says 20 players Mark would pick before Harry Kane in terms of his top 20 strikers. And you'd have to do a lot of research for that.
Yeah, I mean, but I look back and I even just in the recent past, Robbie Fowler was a fantastic striker, and no one said he was world class. They said he was a brilliant finisher. Then you've got Thierry Henry, then you've got obviously Lewandowski, and then you've got Ronaldo, Messi. You've got all of these players.
Fernando Torres, Van Persie. That are just
Suarez, Luis Suarez, Wayne Rooney.
Oh my God.
I think when we start talking about players, and I don't want anyone to talk about players being world class unless they are world class. And to be world class, Arpit, you can't have 20 world class players. You can only have one or two.
Yeah.
And we've had that over the last 10 years with the likes of Messi and Ronaldo. We've had really good players in and around them. But to just bandy out that he's a world class player, it's too easy right now.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, hopefully for your sake and England's sake, Harry Kane gets to another semi-final and maybe a final and does change that open play goal record. 10 hours, 0 goals from open play does sound a little scary. I think it reflects a little bit on Tottenham and England as well in terms of
it reflects more. It reflects more on England and international football because it's another level international football to any domestic leagues. Now he's gone to Bayern Munich this year, and he scored 44 goals in all competitions. And he should do, because if he's that good of a finisher and he's in that good of a team in that league, where it's been a brilliant league this year, and we've had this discussion, but still in all, he's in the best team, or he was in one of the best teams at the start of the season. So, it was quite likely that he was going to get a handful of goals. And he has done that at Spurs as well, but to go to that next level and say world class, I don't know. But I've got to do my homework, and I've got to come up with stuff like this and say, listen, guys,
20
this is
names.
So.
Okay. We spent 42 minutes. I'm only going to take maybe 20, 30 seconds more because there are a couple of high profile names also missing. I'm a little pleasantly surprised. I'm okay with Southgate not picking Marcus Rashford, because I said, as much as I like him, as an individual, he's not had a season that he would be very proud of, and he obviously misses out. Just yes or no, you're okay with that? You're okay with him missing out? Yep. Okay, cool. Second name,
because just I want to reiterate there, with Southgate has said he's going to have players that are playing that are on form. Hence, he's got all of these new caps in. Now, whether he goes along with that, with his actual squad when he knocks it down 7 players is a different kettle of fish. But I just don't think he deserves to be in the squad this year, Marcus Rashford. That's it, plain and simple.
Jadon Sancho?
Possibly, but again, if you look at his history and can you have? And again, I don't know the ins and outs of what Manchester United, but from the outside, it looks like he's a bit of an issue in terms of within the football club, and we've seen that with Ten Hag. You don't want players like that, and especially when you're going away for a month altogether, you need to have that cohesion. You need to have that team spirit, and I don't think right now that he's got that. So no.
You're assuming you're going to be there for a month, but okay, cool. I know you plan.
We're always going to be there for the month, aren't we? We never are, but we always think we are.
No, you were last time around, so let's hope you have. If you have a better campaign than last time, you're winning the Euros, of course. Cool, Mark. That's about it. That's about that we're going to talk about. Anything else you want to talk about the squad before we let go? You didn't say the F word, so this has not been a success.
No. I'm going to say the H word.
Okay.
It's coming home. This
my
time,
God.
it's coming home.
Can't let go of that ever. No. Okay, fair enough. Best of luck. But yeah, that was our review of, or rather Mark's review of the England squad that's making, or rather will be making it, because there's 33. And we've written down 7 names who will be cut off according to us. And we've also written down a formation and the players in it. So we'll find out once the Euros start how correct or how incorrect we were. Thanks, Mark, again for joining me. Glad that you didn't go to Mauritius or Maldives or wherever and are available to do a podcast from Goa. And thank you all for listening in as well. We'll see you on episode 14 soon.